I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from the Brickyard. CJ Jeffries and David Garman on the front row. Mark Nelson and Richie, I hate this car, Joplin on the second row. Mark the Man Dantuma, Austin Abel in the third row. Paulo Aniceto and Vern Spring on the fourth. Austin Ruskoff and Donald Double D Durant round out the top 10. Rick Sargent starting in 11th. Next to Blakey Pooh, Snickerdoodle Boo Boo, Viken in 12th. Brandon Newby starts in 13th. Larry Fairman in 14th. Ryan Warp in 15th. And Brandon Combs round out the 16-car field here tonight. A little concerning. Austin Ruskoff is just here to make some great videos, and something tells me, well, I'm sure we're going to get a few tonight. The Brickyard always puts on a great show. Did hear a lot of the drivers talking about whether or not to shift tonight. We'll be riding along with some of the drivers throughout the night. Fourth gear just wasn't enough. It'll burn up the tires. And fifth gear, not in the draft. It was a little too much and they didn't have enough speed. Looks like one of the drivers did not make the grid. Blake Veek and Ryan Warp and Brandon Combs, all three did not make the grid. Hopefully they'll get to pit road. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. The Brickyard, 2.5 miles of flat track, a rectangle, 2 long straights, 2 short chutes. And there you see it, that big, beautiful track in Indianapolis. This track definitely not for the faint of heart. You're doing high speeds down the back straight and the front straight, and it gets very tricky on corner entry. You wear the tires very quickly here. It is a flat track, so you're leaning on those right sides awfully hard all night long. Tire wear is going to be a big one here tonight. Through turn 3 into the short chute. And here we go. Pace car dives to pit road. Down the front stretch they come. Green flag is in the air. They are down and away at the Brickyard. Garmin and CJ side by side into turn 1. CJ's going to clear out to the front. Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson, side by side back behind. Austin Habel lurking. Out of turn 2, a lot of single file. As Habel crosses over, gets down underneath Mark Nelson. CJ Jeffries, David Garman, Richie Joplin put a little space between them and 4th place. Nelson's going to hold on to 5th for the moment. Dan Tuma now to 6th. Paulo Anacito in 7th. Vern Spring in 8th. Ruskoff in 9th. Rick Surgeon in 10th. And CJ Jeffries crosses the yard of bricks and leads lap 1. I do believe this is CJ's, I'm double checking my notes, I believe this is CJ's first race with BRR. Nope, this will be his second race. Mark Nelson takes 4th, moves Habel back. Habel now back into 5th. Mark Dantuma in 6th. Everybody right up against the wall all the way around the track. A few drivers did have problems in practice. You want to get as close to that wall as possible to reduce the wind and get more top speed down the straightaway, but too close to that wall, it'll pull you in. CJ Jeffries set the fastest lap so far. Last time by at a 53.23. The 3 drivers that did not take the grid still have not come out on track. Very disappointed in Blake. CJ dropping low on the straightaway, trying to break the draft here early. And he sets the fastest lap again, 53.00, but this is going to be, this next lap or two will be about everything they can get. Then the lap times will start to fall off as the tires really start to wear. Brandon Newby back in 8th, Vern Spring in 9th, Austin Ruskoff in 10th, Rick Surgeon in 11th, Larry Fairman in 12th. Double D currently in 13th, a little bit off that second pack. Newby right up there by the wall. He is 2.5 seconds behind Paulo at the moment. Paulo, Mark Dantuma, and Austin Habel right there together as Richie Joplin just set the fastest lap on the bumper of David Gorman. But don't forget, folks, Richie hates this car. Be interesting to see. We know he loves the other car. He'll be running later tonight in the SMRX Series. Remember, he won that race Thursday night at Phoenix. Same car, same track, same setup. Can Richie go 2 for 2 at Phoenix tonight? The top 3 do have a bit of a breakaway. 4th place, Mark Nelson, about 1.1 seconds back. He is actually starting to gain some ground. Dan Tuma now in 5th. Austin Habel in 6th. Anacito on the move. Brandon Newby, 2.5 seconds back, is pulling away from his group, starting to close up. Lap times are starting to fall off as we've got a battle for second. Richie just could not make it stick out of 4. CJ quickly getting down low to break the draft on Gorman. Richie's fast lap a moment ago, 52.87. This time by 53.3. Similar times throughout the field as the tires have started to wear and the speeds are going down. Richie has a peek to the inside as they head off into turn 3 in the short chute. Oh, there may have been some contact there. It was awfully close. But Gourmet pulls back ahead. Oh, and Richie kisses the wall. Mark Nelson right back to Richie's bumper. Dan Tuma less than a second behind. Top 5 really starting to tighten back up except for CJ, who has pulled away just a hair. This track does have multiple grooves through the turn, but it is hard to race side by side here. It gets a little bit tricky. Fortunately, we've not seen any of the drivers have any significant problems yet. Mark Dantuma pulling up. Let's see if we can dial up his in-car camera since he's sitting back behind and take a lap around as he comes down the front straightaway right behind the Mark Nelson into turn 1. Dantuma able to use that draft, go deep into 1, into the short chute. Pointing it down low through turn 2, onto the back straightaway. You see CJ up there moving left, trying to break the draft once again. Down the back straightaway, they head into turn 3, out of the gas, point it as low as possible. Swing it wide, right out by the wall. Mark may have kissed it. Out of the short chute, out of turn 4, back down the front stretch, a little squirrely, and Tuma holds on to it. And somehow, Mark Dantuma set the fastest lap, last time by 52.86. Gerald Poole said race control tonight provided by his handy dandy admin box. You can check him out at adminbox, that's BOXX.com. Richie Joplin losing a little ground on David Gorman. CJ still trying to break away a little bit, but not getting very far. David Gorman stays about 0.6 of a second back. As here we go, Newbie trying to make some moves. He's right on the bumper of Austin Hable. All the way to Cito, now up into 6th. Apollo now about 5 seconds back. Now they will have a competition caution at lap 25. They will have to make a green flag stop in the second part of this race. They can go 35 to 38 laps on a tank of fuel here tonight. CJ keeps trying to break the draft, but it doesn't look like it's helping at all. Garmy still right there with him. Richie also in contact. Mark Nelson had caught up to the top 3, but is now falling back. Dan Tuma right there with him. Paulo Aniceto back in 6th, Newbie in 7th, Abel now in 8th. Larry Fairman now up 5 spots into 9th. Larry just quietly making his way forward. Vern Spring in 10th, Austin Ruskoff back in 11th. Rick Sargent struggling a little bit in 12th, same for Double D back in 13th. Wobbling coming into the short chute between 3 and 4. I think we'll see quite a bit more. You often see that short chute between 3 and 4 be a real problem area. And Richie looks like he might be going for it again. Garmin way up the track in 1. Garmin's not going to fight him. Garmin may have kissed a little bit of the safer barrier, but he is okay, and Richie is in 2nd. Both marks just about 1.6 seconds back in 4th and 5th. Paulo Aniceto in 6th is starting to make up some ground. On the marks, he is still 5.6 seconds back. The last time by, he was faster than both of them. Newbie less than a second back in 7th, Austin Abel in 8th. Larry Fairman in 9th, Austin Ruskoff in 10th. Vern now back in 11th as Austin is starting to make some ground up on Fairman. But Fairman at 9th, he is closing in on Austin Abel. CJ's lead about 9/10 of a second at the moment. Mark Dantuma is taken 4th from Mark Nelson. We'll have to have a discussion with Mark Nelson about letting a Ford get past him. That is just unacceptable. Also, Brandon Newby showed up in a Chevy paint scheme on a Ford. We will be talking to the admins about a massive penalty going into next week. Speaking of next week, BRR Cup Series will be at North Wilkesboro next Sunday night. And you know we love it when we go to North Wilkes. Always a great race. Getting a report from the pits that the tires are going through heat cycles while out on track, probably cooling down a little bit on the front and back straightaways. We've seen it before, especially in Indy cars. They build up a lot of heat in the right side through turns 1 and 2 in the short chute, then again in 3 and 4, but those right sides cool down, and over the course of a long run, that cycling can cause some problems for the drivers. Paulo Aniceto in 6 was gaining ground on the marks, but now sits about 5.7 seconds back. He has pulled further away from Brandon Newby. Austin is starting to close back up. Austin Abel is closing back up on Newby, as is Fairman. Fairman really kissed the wall that time. And Austin Ruskoff still closing in on everybody up through 6th. He is definitely inching his way forward at the moment. So far, CJ Jeffries has led every lap of the race. Richie Joplin less than a second back in second place. Garmin just over a second back in third. Dan Tuma 1 1/4 seconds back is closing in on Garmin. At the moment, Brandon Newby is the biggest mover so far. He started in 13th, is now up into 7th. Larry Fairman is closing in as well. Fairman started in 14th, is now to 9th, and is right behind 8th place, Austin Habel. Meanwhile, Austin Ruskoff all over Fairman's back bumper. Austin is the fastest car from 5th to 10th right now. Fairman goes up high into 3, opens the door. Austin's going to go through. Looks like Fairman just did not want to battle. He'll drop back in line. Take advantage of the draft. A lot of the drivers said tonight this car has a major aero push here. Means when they get behind, another car takes the air off their nose and the car does not want to turn. It definitely appears to have had an effect because Fairman is falling back quickly. Double D is on pit road. This is early. Is this a strategy move? Now these drivers, they can make it. They'll have everybody will be on pit road in about 3 or 4 laps once the comp caution flies, but they will only need one more stop for the remainder of the race. Most of them likely to split it 50-50. So most of the field will likely see back on pit road between lap 52 and 54. That will give the drivers an extra set of tires sitting back there if a late race caution does come out. Blakey Boo Snickerdoodle Boo Boo is on pit road. Will he come out to play? And he is rolling out. He has no shot at winning here, but it's great to see Blake back on track tonight. It'll also be extremely entertaining for Blake. He has the freshest tires on track. Should see the comp caution next time by. As CJ Jeffries comes through the short chute between 1 and 2. Blake already down in 3 and 4, won't be a problem. Double D is also back out on track. And here they come out of turn 4. CJ has a 1.5 second lead on Richie Joplin coming to the comp caution. And Garmin is coming in. Garmin's going to see if he can outsmart them all for some track position. Garmin is on pit road. Competition caution is out. Definitely been a fun start to the night. Now they all have to come to pit road, 4 tires, fuel, get a drink of water, and catch their breath because it's about to heat up even more. Speaking of heat, the track temperature currently 115 degrees, air temperature currently at 75 degrees. It's a nice cool air temperature, but that track is hot and it's getting greasy. The leader finally picks up the pace car coming out of turn 2. Everybody will stack up and prepare for the drive to pit road. They do have to use the exit road off pit road. Regardless of green or yellow flag, that exit road has to be used. But they can enter pit road as normal on the front straightaway, regardless of the flag that is flying. All right, here they come out of turn 4. CJ Jeffries about to lead them all down. And there you see him coming by the flag stand down the pit road toward their pit stalls. Looks like Garmin did get his pit stop completed. That will give Garmin the position up front. Blake Viken also choosing to stay out. He'll get 1 or 2 of his laps back here. I think he may have gotten a wave around. And is now in position to get waved back by the pace car. We'll have to see. It would take a lot of incidents to get him back to the lead lap. I don't think we'll see him out there on the lead lap fighting for the win. But what we will see is Blake fighting his way through traffic to see how fast he is at the Brickyard. Let's see if we can get a word with our new leader. Garmin, kind of a gutsy strategy there coming into pit road right before the caution.
Yeah, I planned on pitting at that lap anyway, and caution just kind of came out as a pit road, so should be equal. I didn't really get anywhere with it, so we'll see what happens.
Well, it definitely puts you back out front. Now, I noticed early on CJ started trying to break the draft. A couple laps into the race, are you going to take the same approach to it on this restart?
I don't know. We'll see.
Keeping your cards close to the vest tonight. Well, good luck, buddy, and great run so far.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Garmin not giving anything away here tonight. And yes, Blake gets waved past the pace car. That'll leave him about 20 laps down, I do believe. As always, folks, if you have a favorite driver in the field, don't forget to drop in the comments. Let us know who you're cheering for. So far, other than the competition caution, we have yet to see a caution or even an incident. Will that change on the restart? And don't forget, folks, it is a doubleheader. We've got more racing after this. SMRX Series takes on Phoenix tonight. Can Richie Joplin get 2 Phoenix wins in a row? He won in Home Motorsports last Thursday. Here they come out of turn 4, getting ready for the restart. Pace car dives to pit road, and here they come. Almost into the zone. They are in the restart zone. They fire. Green flag is in the air. Back underway at Indy. Garmin very quickly up to the high line. Sets it up for turn 1. Richie and CJ. Oh, CJ smacks the crap out of the wall. Keeps his foot in it. We'll see if it has a big impact. Richie still has been unable to clear him. A lot of battling back behind as Double D is on the move. Garmin, meanwhile, starting to pull away already. CJ and Richie still battling for second. And CJ is going to hold on to it for the moment. Mark Nelson right behind in 4th. Newbie now up into 5th. Newbie's got to run. Mark looks low. Dan Tuma's going up the track. Wow. Mark Dan Tuma, Apollo Anacita. Whoa. Dan Tuma dropping big. Did something happen to Mark in that little battle? See if we can get a look. Down from the blip as they go off into turn 1. Oh, looks like Mark pushes up into Paulo, pushes Paulo up into the wall. Paulo gets clear, but it does look like something went wrong with Mark's car. He manages to keep it low, and Mark does end up towing to pit road. Not sure what broke. It's a Ford. It could have been anything. David Garman continues to lead. He's got 0.8 of a second on CJ at the moment. Richie in third, Mark Nelson in fourth, Brandon Newby in fifth. Austin Habel, Larry Fairman, Paulo Anacito, Vern Spring, and Austin Ruskoff round out the top 10. That incident with Dan Tuma was a huge setback for Paulo, who is way up toward the top 5. Also, he's not on the lead lap, but Blakey Poo Snickerdoodle Boo Boo in the 51 car back there. He is cutting through traffic, just having a good time. Mark Nelson at fourth has lost a little ground to the top 3. With Dan Tuma out and Kyle Holden not here, Mark Nelson could have a huge points night tonight, but Richie Joplin, fourth in points, currently runs in third and just set the fastest lap of the night, 52.76. Richie about 68 points out of the lead. Currently just one spot ahead of Mark Nelson, but every point does count. Could very well be. Good evening, Kevin. How soon before we see you back, buddy? And then everybody behind the F and the ORD, all of it fell apart. Paulo Anacito has now made his way back up into 6th, right back to Newby's bumper. And Blake, even though not on the lead lap, is trying to run his friends down. What kind of chaos could happen when those three get together? CJ Jeffries is closed back up onto David Garman's back bumper. Richie Joplin still lurking in third. Mark Nelson just set his fastest lap. A 53 dead. He is closing back up on Richie. Newby in fourth and Anacito in fifth. Their first race with BRR. So they are not in points contention at this point. And yet they are starting to break the draft as much as possible. That breaking of the draft on the long straightaways here, a very, very common practice, but over the last year, I gotta tell you, I have seen some really extreme breaking of the draft here, including Cody Kennedy, which definitely was the worst, as Rick Sargent has had a problem. He has towed it in. There will not be a caution. There's Rick coming out of turn 2, and let's take another look at this. It looked like Rick may have had some damage to the car. There he is coming through out of turn 4 rather. Double D right behind. And Rick heads off into turn 1. Did he have a problem here in the short chute? Oh, he does kiss the wall in the middle of the short chute, just barely. And trying to see if we can see what exactly happened with Rick. I have no earthly idea. But Rick just suddenly pulled over and called it a night. Kevin, tell him that's way too long. Top 3, still nose to tail. David Garman, CJ Jeffries, Richie Joplin. They have a 1.7 second lead on Mark Nelson. Paulo Anacito back in 5th. Austin Habel in 6th. Brandon Newby in 7th. Vern Spring now in 8th. Austin Ruskoff in 9th. Larry Fairman in 10th. Fairman peaks low into turn 1. Can he get under Ruskoff? Ruskoff has the momentum advantage up on the high side, but wow, it doesn't matter. Fairman just drives it past him. One heck of a drive out of turn 2 for Larry. Brandon Newby at the moment the biggest mover, up 6 spots into 7th. Blake Beacon just ahead, not on the lead lap by a lot. Hopefully we will see both. Hopefully we will see Newby and Beacon, Paulo, and the rest of the gang back in the coming weeks. Looked like Double D may have had an incident a moment ago. Oh, yeah, he did. Slams the outside wall. Let's take another look. I don't know if he got the inside wall. This is very, very common at the exit of turn 4 here. You just push out, get that wall, barely manages to keep it off the inside wall. Great save by Double D. Meanwhile, CJ Jeffries has taken the lead back. Richie in 2nd, Garman in 3rd. Mark Nelson now in the fight. Evening, Online Game Hunter. How are you, buddy? Cars go brunning indeed. I'm doing great, man. CJ starting to break the draft again. Blakey Poo Snickerdoodle Boo Boo is on pit road. This is his first stop of the night after not starting the race on time. And caution is out. This was not expected. Blake is just here for the TV time, and we're trying to figure out what has brought the caution out this time. Hopefully, Gerald Poole and Race Control can fill us in. I didn't see anybody in the wall or any major problems out on track. However, this caution is well timed. The field can hit pit road and go the distance from here on fuel. So we could be about to see final stops. And I still have zero idea what brought the caution out. Mark Dantuma is back out on track, by the way. He came back out right before the caution. CJ Jeffries is going to lead everybody into pit road. Austin Ruskoff is staying out. Blakey Poo will get a wave around. Austin staying out does pick him up some bonus points here. Let's see if we can get a hold of Race Control real quick and find out what brought the caution. Hey, Gerald is Doug in the booth. You got me, buddy?
10-4.
Hey, we couldn't tell what brought the caution out.
Mark is having computer problems, which was cause of him having to drop out earlier. And I guess when he was logging back in, he hit the enter button to enter the session and for some reason threw a yellow flag.
Debris caution. Got it.
Yeah, there's a rotor laying out there somewhere.
I'm sure there is. All right, well, thanks for the update. And, man, it's been a great race so far, bud.
10-4.
Well, there you heard it. Our first ever debris caution. Anything can happen on iRacing just like it can in the real world, folks. Austin Ruskoff has still not come to pit road. We expect him in this time. And no, Ruskoff is not coming in. Garmin is coming in. Looks like Newbie is going to come back in as well. Interesting strategy. They are about 30 to go. They could go 35 to maybe up to 38 laps on a tank of fuel here tonight. Austin Ruskoff is going to be out there on much older tires. That first lap's going to be a bit rough for him. Everybody coming down the back straightaway, getting ready for the restart. Down into turn 3, Austin Ruskoff, the only driver on track on old tires. Mark Dantuma's technical issues, tonight's going to be a huge, big win for Mark Nelson as long as he stays up in a podium position, and if he can keep Richie in his mirror, it gets even better, but right now Ruskoff is blinking. Here we go, pace car dives to pit road. Into the restart zone they go, green flag back in the air. Ruskoff gets off the line well. CJ Jeffries already underneath Mark Nelson. He's going to take second. Richie Joplin right on Mark's bumper. That is exactly where Mark needs him to stay. Blake Viken, despite being several laps down, one of the fast cars on track at the moment. He's still 22 laps down, got a lot of ground to make up. Unlikely he'll be able to, but it is nice to see he is out here and still fast. A lot of sliding coming out of turn 4 that time. Mark Dantuma just came by. Brandon Newby, looked like Newby was having some problems out of 4 and is losing touch with the pack. CJ Jeffries has reclaimed the lead. Ruskoff in second. Richie Joplin looks underneath Mark Nelson to get back to third. Oh, it gets a little tight there. Coming out of turn 3 through the short chute. And out of turn 4, drifty Richie Joplin back into third. Meanwhile, Paulo Anacito on the attack. Looks underneath the Mark Nelson into 1. Oh, Mark kisses the wall. He's losing momentum. Paulo gets clear. Austin Abel now looks under Mark. That got a little tight. Off into 3, side by side. Blake backed out of it just a little bit. CJ Jeffries has an 0.8 of a second lead over Richie. Ruskoff in third. Paulo and Mark Nelson battle for fourth. Mark holds on to it for the moment. Larry Fairman back in the fight. Larry now up into 7th. Austin Ruskoff surprisingly still holding on to third. Austin had to have been open for a quickie caution here, which hasn't come. He did pick up some bonus points for leading a lap, but he'll have to get to pit road before too much longer. Best guess as Mark Nelson goes by to take third. Best guess, Austin has 8 to 9 laps of fuel left. As Austin Habel is on the move, he's going to take 5th. Paulo Inesito slipping back to 6th, but he has Blake on his bumper. Oh, looking back to the bottom, Blake backs off just a little bit. Fairman stays right on his bumper. David Garman, after that pit stop, all the way back to 9th. Double D in 10th at the moment, but here comes Newby. We saw Newby lose a bunch of ground on that first lap. After the restart, he is back in the fight. Off into 3, Newby into 10th, now sets his sights on Garmy back in 9th. Mark D'Antuomo slipping back to 12th. That's going to be a big hit in the points. And Ruskoff is coming in. Whoa! Looked like Austin had problems getting in. Let's take a quick gander. There's Austin coming out of turn 4. Aims it down low, gets on the brakes, they lock up, and wow. He does get it wound up in time, but it looked like it got a little squirrely under braking. Mark Nelson now in third, about 1.5 seconds back. Richie just set the fastest lap, 52.73. Didn't think the track temperature has come down, it hasn't. Richie just found a little more speed as Ruskoff comes out. And Austin comes out in 11th, 1 lap down. The first car 1 lap down. The top 3 on a bit of a breakaway now as they battle back behind. Hey, good evening, Reed Master. How are you, buddy? My pleasure. Lalo now 3.5 seconds behind the top 3. Austin Abel, David Garman now up into 6th. Garman on the attack, wanting back into the top 5. Oh, Larry Fairman kisses the wall at a turn 4. David Garmin has been moving up the points. Oh! Garmin gets together. They are 3 wide into the chute. And out of turn 2, Garmin, Larry Fairman almost gets his bumper. It is, the top 3 are walking away as the rest of the field is back here duking it out. Austin Abel now in 5th, Garmin in 6th. Paulo Anacito in 4th is pulled away from the group. And Larry Fairman now in 7th on the attack. Brandon Newby now in 8th, Vern Spring in 9th, Double D back in 10th. Austin Ruskoff 1 lap down in 11th, right behind 3rd place, Mark Nelson. CJ Jeffries and Richie Joplin less than half a second apart. Larry Fairman has definitely had a good run. Oh! And as soon as I said something, he smacks the wall in the short chute between 3 and 4. Newby gets by and takes 7th. Oh, Blake! Whoa, Blake is in the wall! He managed to gather it up. He had a wild exit there. Came through turn 1 into the short chute. The car got loose. Just kisses the outside wall, gathers it up. Blake not on the lead lap, not battling for position. But one heck of a ride for him. David Garmin now looking underneath Austin Habel down the front straightaway into turn 1. Garmin's going to take 5th place. Paulo Anacito just ahead in 4th. Remember, unless the caution comes out again, these guys can make it to the end on fuel. CJ trying to break the draft and get away from Richie Joplin. Mark Nelson in 3rd. There is a bit of a gap in the points between Mark Nelson and Richie Joplin. Coming into tonight, Mark Nelson does have the points lead. Mark Dantuma, his problems will open up his lead. Kyle Holden not being here will also help. Richie Joplin about 68 points behind Mark Nelson in 4th. Double D has come to pit road. This was not an expected stop. Mark Nelson in 3rd, about 2 seconds behind the lead 2. But Austin Ruskoff right behind him on fresh tires. Austin might be able to help Mark out a little bit here. David Garman has made his way back into fourth, but is 6.4 seconds back with 14 laps to go. And don't forget, folks, a lot of these same drivers will be here for race number 2 of the night as we go to Phoenix right after the BRR race. The SMR X Series is going to take to Phoenix with a 36-car field on a 1-mile track. What could possibly go wrong? CJ kisses the wall that time, seeing more and more drivers get the wall in the short chute. Will it give Mark Nelson an opportunity to close back up? Really surprised Mark has not let Ruskoff get in front of him and utilize the fresh tires and the draft off Austin's car. David Garman in fourth, Paulo Anacito currently running in fifth, Brandon Newby in sixth, Austin Habel currently in seventh, Vern Spring quietly making his way to eighth. Larry Fairman was having a great run moving up through the field until he got a little bit too much of the wall. Oh, and he cuts it close there. That little kiss to the wall he got just a couple laps ago has been a big setback. Eleven laps to go. Can CJ Jeffries, who's led the most laps here tonight, hold on for 10.5 more laps? He is getting a bit more aggressive about trying to break the draft here. Richie in second, so far able to hold with him. Mark Nelson in third, still sitting about 2.5 seconds back. And he has started to pull away again from Austin Ruskoff. David Garman in fourth, about 6.8 seconds back from Mark. And Paulo Anacito in fifth. Paulo starting to get closer to Garman. Brandon Newby back in sixth, about 2.4 seconds back from Paulo. Austin Habel in seventh, about 1.5 seconds back. Vern in eighth, about 2.3 seconds back at the moment. Fairman in ninth, about 3.3 seconds back. Austin Ruskoff currently running in 10th. Double D back in 11th. Ruskoff is currently the fastest car on track. but just too far back for him to do a whole lot with it. Eight laps to go. Just 20 more miles around the Brickyard. Does Richie Joplin have anything left for the leader? Looks like a lot of these guys, as long as they can keep them pointed the right way, are pretty well locked in. Garmin was in a little bit of trouble. Paulo was gaining on him, but Paulo has since lost some ground. He is now 1.8 seconds back. Brandon Newby in 6 may be in trouble as Dan Tuma makes a wild run into pit road. Austin Abel in 7th is closing in on Newby. Let's see if we can see why Dan Tuma made such a wild pit road entry. There's Mark coming out. Oh, that's why. He just almost knocks the wall down. Unfortunately, couldn't get back out on the track before the commitment cone and has to drag her down pit road. Dan Tuma definitely having a rough night for one of the top championship contenders. And here they come out of turn 4. They're going to come down across the yard of bricks. 5 laps to go at Indy. CJ doing everything he can to shake Richie. Paulo Aniceto back in 5th, continuing to lose ground. But Brandon Newby not getting any closer. Austin Abel was closing in on Newby, but is now settled in about 1.1 seconds back. Vern Springs safely in 8th. It does look like Larry Fairman, since smacking the wall earlier, that car is just not up to speed anymore. Don't see any significant damage to it, but likely had some damage underneath the hood. Oh! Richie gives the safer barrier a little kiss. Will be a big points night for Mark Nelson, currently running in 3rd. Three to go. for CJ. And if CJ can pull off the win tonight at Phoenix, if he wins here and pulls off the win at Phoenix, it will be the first ever BRR and SMR sweep on a Sunday night. A lot of your favorite drivers from BRR are also running in SMR tonight. You definitely want to stick around. That's going to be a fun one. Out of turn 4 there, coming down to get 2 to go. CJ really trying to shake him. 2 laps to go. Just under 5 miles left. Richie just 0.3 of a second, just a few car lengths back. CJ holds him off as they come through the short chute. Out of turn 4 down the front stretch. And white flag is out one more time around for CJ Jeffries. Can he keep Richie Joplin in the mirror? You know Richie is pushing it way hard out of turn 2. Did not close the gap at all through there into turn 3. CJ started on the pole, has led the most laps by a mile. Opens the gap as he comes out of turn 4. CJ Jeffries will get it done. He will win at the Brickyard. This is also CJ Jeffries' first ever BRR win. Let's talk to our top 3, starting with Mark Nelson. Mark, you come home on the podium and a really good points night.
Yeah, it is. Mark had some troubles with his screens there, and he bowed out to fix that. And had pretty good pace towards the end of the race there. It just took me about half the race to finally figure out what I'm doing with my life and see what these guys were doing.
Well, you figured it out a little bit late, but it was still enough to come on with a podium with Mark's problems, Kyle not here, and Richie only finishing 1 spot ahead. Man, it was an awesome points night and an awesome overall run.
Yeah, it was. Good to see it.
Great job, buddy.
Thank you.
Richie Joplin coming home in second. Richie, one heck of a run tonight, man. You made him earn it.
Yeah, I just didn't. Once the car gets out in front, it's hard to pass them. I tried to make a run at the end of it, got a little snug behind him, but it all good. Good points day for me, and I'm just glad to bring this car home in the top 3. This car is like a rolling brick.
Well, you're definitely going to have a huge points night. You'll pull up to 3rd easily and close the gap on both marks.
Yeah, I was trying to win because this was my very first win at BRR, was at Indianapolis with the Caterpillar paint scheme, and I was trying to pull off another one, but I fell short.
Still a very awesome night, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good win, CJ.
And on to our winner, finally in victory lane, CJ Jeffries wins at the Brickyard. CJ, congratulations, your first ever BRR Cup win, and man, what an impressive run it was.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I'm glad I started running with these guys here in BR. It's a good little group. Richie Joplin, man, he's so intimidating to be in front of. Every time he'd get close, I'd start worrying about mistakes, and it's been almost a year since my last win in general. So this is awesome. I was happy to get it done at Indy. So.
It was definitely a great night. You definitely had a very dominant performance. Richie did make you work for it, but man, we saw you right off the bat trying to break the draft, find any advantage, and that little bit went a long way at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I knew if I give Richie any sort of edge, he's going to end up taking it. And so he had me burning a lot more fuel than I wanted to. Anytime he'd get close, I'd have to start going back to shifting. And then if I built up a little bit of a cushion between us, I could start running fifth gear all around. So by the time I got to the start-finish line to do a little burnout, I had 0.2 of a gallon left. So, yeah, he made me work for it. This was awesome. I'm really glad I was able to come out here today and run with these guys. It was fun.
Well, now we'll see if you can go win at Phoenix. Congratulations, buddy. Great run tonight.
Thank you, but you already know who's going to win that one.
Well, you never know. You might have a cold or something.
I'm just going to have to turn my brake bias down a lot more and see if I can get the thing to turn better than him.
Apparently, man. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.